Welcome to ValueVest Daily. Today, we are diving deep into a revolution. I'm talking about the AI-driven shift that's completely rewriting the rules of our economy. And most importantly for us, we're going to look at this through an investor's lens to figure out exactly where the money is flowing.
All right, let's just jump right in. To really see the opportunity here, you first have to understand the threat. And believe me, this revolution, it's not like anything we've seen before.
Okay, so think back to the first industrial revolution. That was all about replacing physical labor, right? It came for our muscles. It replaced the ox, the farmhand, all with the steam engine. Yeah, it was disruptive for sure, but it took decades to unfold. The AI revolution? Totally different story. This one is coming for our brains. It's targeting cognitive work, and here's the kicker. It's moving at the insane pace of digital speed.
And that brings us to the absolute core concept for today, what we're calling cognitive labor deflation. You know, for decades, the safest bet you could make, economically speaking, was to get an expensive education for a high-skill, knowledge-based job. Think lawyers, software engineers, finance pros. These jobs were always protected by this huge moat, a moat of really hard-to-get knowledge. Well, that moat is being drained, and it's happening fast.
This quote just nails what we call the knowledge trap. I mean, really think about this for a second. AI can now pass the bar exam. It can write complex code. It can analyze massive legal documents in seconds, for pennies on the dollar. So if your whole value proposition is just knowing things and then slowly putting them together, well, the economic value of that skill is absolutely cratering.
So, where does all this lead? Well, this cognitive crash, it doesn't necessarily mean mass unemployment in the traditional sense. What it really points to is mass displacement. And that's creating a future with two very, very different and very unequal outcomes.
So what does this split actually look like in the real world? I mean, who gets left behind in all of this, and who gets supercharged? And here it is, the K-shaped model. It just illustrates this perfectly. On that bottom prong, you've got the displaced. We're talking about jobs where AI can do the work good enough for like 1% of the cost of a salary. The pressure on these roles is just immense. But then, look at the top prong. These are the AI natives. These are the elite pros who aren't competing against AI. No, they're using it, leveraging it as a tool to become like 10 times more productive, way more valuable, and pretty much indispensable.
Okay, so here's the crucial point for us. As an investor, how do you actually position yourself for this new reality? How do you take this massive disruptive threat and flip it into a clear, actionable investment opportunity?
And this is the pivot. This is the key investor takeaway right here. When the cost of intelligence itself crashes, the demand for that intelligence just explodes. It unleashes this massive productivity boom. So the goal for us isn't to invest in the people getting stuck on the bottom part of that K. The goal is to invest in the very technology that's creating that super-empowered top prong. Let me put it plainly. Value is just draining away from expensive human gatekeepers. You know, the consultants, the lawyers, the analysts. And where is it going? It's flowing directly to the automated tech platforms that can do this same work faster, cheaper, and, let's be honest, often better. This is the great value transfer that we need to be focused on.
Okay, so let's break down the first investment category we're looking at. These are the foundational companies, the ones providing the raw power for this whole revolution. You can think of them as the picks and shovels of the AI gold rush. First up, you've got NVDA. I mean, they're the undisputed king of GPUs, the actual hardware you need to train and run these massive AI models. Then, of course, there's Microsoft. Through their huge stake in OpenAI and all their Copilot integrations, they are literally embedding AI directly into how the world works. And finally, you have Alphabet, the main competitor with their Gemini models and their deep integration into search and all their workspace tools. Let's be clear. Without these three giants, this whole revolution just grinds to a halt.
All right, next up, let's talk about the companies that are using all that foundational power to go after specific, expensive, professional industries. What they're doing is pretty brilliant. They're taking human services and turning them directly into scalable software.
Thomson Reuters is a perfect example here. They're applying AI to their exclusive legal and tax databases to automate research that used to take an army of junior associates hours and hours to do. Salesforce, they're doing the exact same thing for sales and marketing. And then you've got Adobe with Firefly, which is basically democratizing high-end creative work, shifting the value away from the individual designer and onto the platform itself.
And finally, let's look at what we're calling the AI native enablers. These are the companies that give big businesses the tools to actually implement all this automation at scale. So take Palantir. Their platforms let these huge companies take all their messy, siloed data, pull it all together, and then apply AI to it. Boom, you've just replaced entire teams of human analysts with faster, way more powerful AI-driven decisions. Now, coming at it from a different angle, you have UiPath. They're a leader in what's called robotic process automation, or RPA. Just think of it like software robots that can copy human clicks and keystrokes to automate all those tedious, repetitive back-office jobs. Things like invoice processing or data entry, stuff that used to require armies of people. These companies, they're really the engine rooms powering this entire corporate shift.
Okay, now before we wrap things up, it is absolutely crucial that we are all crystal clear on the following.
Just a quick but very important note. This explainer is for informational and educational purposes only. This is not financial advice, and it's not tax advice. The companies we mentioned were just to illustrate the thesis. They are not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. Please always do your own research.
So we'll leave you with this thought. The picture being painted here is pretty clear. We're seeing a massive transfer of economic value away from human cognitive labor and towards scalable tech platforms. So the really important question you should be asking yourself is this: is your portfolio actually positioned for that shift?
If this breakdown helped you see things from a new angle, please subscribe, like, and share ValueVest Daily. We put out explainers like this every day to help you get smarter before you put your money to work.
And one last thing. If you have a specific high-risk, high-reward opportunity you want us to deep dive into, just let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining us.